I'm fangirling over the work our next guest is doing. She's a physicist and a Wikipedia author. Her name is Dr. Jessica Wade, and she's been tackling systemic biases by advocating for more inclusivity of women, communities of color, and LGBTQ plus representation in science. So basically, she's a badass. And Jess doesn't just talk the talk. She puts her words into action by spreading her message over the internet, by creating well over 1,000 bios of underrepresented scientists, history left out of our textbooks. And today we're talking about her great crusade for diversity and inclusivity in STEM. This is Advocate Now. Thank you so much for being here, Jess. You know, you're on a crusade for more gender equality and diversity in STEM. For those who don't know, what does STEM stand for?
STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and maths.
Now, a little over a decade ago, you began what started as a solo campaign to create profiles on Wikipedia that showcase biographies of minority and female scientists who are often overlooked. And to this date, about how many of those profiles have you created?
I've created about 1,800. I've created exactly 1,780 biographies so far, and kind of, every day I'm just so inspired and excited to discover and write about all of these incredible women and people of color and people from other historically excluded groups.
You're doing amazing work, and you've seen it. We do not have enough young female, BIPOC, and LGBTQ plus people in STEM. In 2019, you reported that only 17% of the English language biographies on Wikipedia are about women. Historically, has Wikipedia been biased in favor of white men versus those underrepresented communities?
I guess society has been biased in favor of white men versus those from underrepresented communities. If we look at society, we don't do enough to honor, whether that's in newspapers or awards or fellowships, or even in our textbooks, we don't tell the stories of women or people from other historically excluded groups. We don't document their contributions to understanding, and we don't kind of keep their energy and their enthusiasm alive. So yeah, women are underrepresented in so many aspects of society. Wikipedia definitely reflects that under recognition and under representation, but we need to do more at every single level, right? We need to get more women involved from really, really early stages with science and innovation. We need to keep them there through their early career, and then we really need to celebrate and honor and recognize their contributions.
Can you explain why young women and minorities may face bigger barriers getting into and staying in the science and STEM world?
Society has a really big problem with telling young women or telling people of color that they don't belong. These stereotypes that we have about who is and isn't good at maths, who could do something like engineering, even what engineers do. Society has these really bad stereotypes that are quite embedded, and they're embedded not only in your everyday person, but also in parents and also actually in teachers. So worldwide, we have a huge shortage of technical teachers who can teach passionately about topics like physics or computer science or advanced math. So if you have stereotypes in society, and if you have young women and people from other historically excluded groups being told by their teachers they may not be able to do it, and also thinking, hey, my teacher may not be up to teaching me this physics, this really advanced physics class. They may not be good enough. Why would you choose that subject? So even just in going from high school to university, we have a huge challenge in recruiting people from historically excluded groups. And then we don't do enough to keep them. You walk into your physics class day one and you look around you and you see a room full of white men, probably from quite privileged backgrounds, and you just think, I don't belong here. And if that world doesn't do enough to welcome you in and to say your experiences are valid, your confidence isn't where it should be, and we're going to work on that, but you're academically brilliant, if we're not doing enough to build that inclusive community, then it's no surprise that these people are then picked by other professions because they're so much more welcomed there. So we've got really to work hard on that inspiring and exciting part. But we really need to say, actually, once you're in the door, once you're in the lab, once you're in the lecture theatre, welcome, you belong. And we are going to tell you how incredibly awesome this subject is so that then you can go out and change the world.
Yeah, and aside from that, what can be done to bridge this gap and get more diversity and inclusivity in STEM?
Well, we need to do that part of the really early doors. We need to do that part where we celebrate and we recognize our teachers and how important they are for society. So that means paying them better salaries, but also making sure that our incredible science, advanced maths, and engineering teachers aren't overwhelmed with the amount of administrative work they have to do, so they can go out and teach their subject in this really creative and dynamic and engaging way. And then we need to say, hey, if you want to build that rocket, if you want to be the person who presses go on that huge mission to discover something about an unknown planet, if you want to make the next vaccine that saves the world from a pandemic, then what you're really going to have to do is to choose these subjects. Physics is a door opener. It's a key opener to so many different exciting places. We have to get savvy about our teaching quality and our career advice. And we have to get people like mentors and advocates to be that cheerleader that says to you, this is that next place that you need to go to. This is what you need to be aiming for. This is what you have to try and achieve in that exam or on that paper. This is where you need to go next. And that mentoring, that guidance, that cheerleading throughout your early career can really turn the page on who chooses to study these subjects or not.
And what's crazy is that when you started creating these underrepresented Wikipedia articles, they were often deleted. Why was that?
I think it's kind of a circular point, right? Like, society doesn't do enough to recognize or honor or celebrate these people. So when you try and write about them for a website like Wikipedia, which is this phenomenally important democratized platform for knowledge, everyone uses Wikipedia, from parents to high school students to teachers to journalists to policymakers to scientists themselves. When you have a platform like that is a general interest encyclopedia, to prove something's notable, you need some places to cite, right? If I wanted to write your Wikipedia page right now, I'd need a few other places to have written a biography of you, or to have awarded you a prize where I had a little citation that I could reference on that Wikipedia page. In general, every line on a Wikipedia page needs a really robust reference. So when you start writing the pages about these scientists who've been historically excluded, by nature of them being historically excluded, it's harder to find that information, right? So at first, a lot of Wikipedia editors who don't necessarily like being called out on not doing this work in the first place, they kind of were critical that the pages I created weren't fulfilling those notability criteria, hadn't done enough to prove that these women were incredible. And then beyond that, are the citations credible and all of those technical things? So really, I didn't do a good enough job to convince these wiki arbiters that these people deserve to be known about and shouted about for history. And also, I have a challenge in that when you write a Wikipedia page, you have to remain neutral on the topic. So, when you read a Wikipedia page, you get this neutral point of view. There's no politics involved. It's completely nonpartisan perspective of a person or a topic or an area. It's really hard when you're writing about such incredible and impressive people to remain impartial all the time. You want to put in all these frilly adjectives. I want to say they're the most incredible person in the entire world. And that means I had to dial back my enthusiasm a little bit. But eventually I learned my way and I'm a bit better now.
So how did you champion to have the deleted bios added back?
So some Wikipedia pages that I'd made, sometimes people, sometimes they were taken down and then other people would put them back again. But actually what you need to do, it comes back to this kind of circular thing. I need to make sure that these people are better represented and awarded prizes and honored in everyday society. So if they're people that I truly know should be on Wikipedia, should be in textbooks, should be plenary speakers at the biggest conferences, then I make sure I'm also nominating them for awards and prizes so that science and society says, hey, this person is awesome. And then it's easier to write their Wikipedia page. But if it's something where I just have to pull together more citations, maybe go and look in different places, go back to archived content, or maybe I go through their university, or maybe I try and find some pieces of facts that I haven't quite found yet, then I'm better at telling the story. So one is the kind of off Wikipedia part of making sure these people get recognition in the everyday world. And the other part is finding all of these references and sources and making sure that my contribution, my entry, is as comprehensive and as systematic as it can be.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
I'm Sonia Baghdady. Thanks for watching and advocating. For more stories and content like this, visit advocatechannel.com.